Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of my favourite people, some of the country's hardest working stars, and one of the comedy greats of British show business. Joe Pasquale has been on the road for, well, nearly 500 years, really. He's the king of the jungle. He's just come out of Panto with a sensational run that made a fortune in Dartford, and I'm delighted to say he's the new star of Sugar Free Farm, which starts on ITV on Tuesday, and he joins us on the phone now. How are you?
Hi, Alex. I'm very good, sir. I'm living on the edge. It's always on the highway to hell, but I'm stopping at the little chef at every opportunity. Are
you delicious now? I mean, you've been in that farm and it's been in the can, so I'm presuming now you're sort of nymph-like and tiny.
I like that phrase, in the can. Fresh out there, the sweet gingerbread man. That's what I am. People actually come up to me and start licking me in the streets now, and they go, oh, he's fresh out the can. He's my sweet gingerbread man. Not like the song, My Sweet Cheesecake, that was on the Eurovision Song Contest a couple of years ago. I can't remember what it was. At Belarus, I think it was. My favourite song there, My Sweet Cheesecake. Did you remember that song or not?
Listen, we can't lose the plot this early in the conversation. We're barely a minute in.
Sorry, okay. I forget who I'm talking to. I think I'm talking to a professional journalist sometimes.
No.
I have to say, I lost just under a stone in the 2.5 weeks I was in the farm, and since then, since I came out, I've lost another, getting on for half stone as well, but not through dieting, literally just not having sugar.
I mean, people think it's a gimmick, but actually it's just pure science, isn't it? That sugar unburnt turns to fat, whereas fat doesn't turn to anything.
Well, there was a doctor, I can't remember his name, a professor 30 or 40 years ago, that wrote a book on this about how bad sugar is for everybody, and you should eat fat, not sugar. And then, of course, the sugar companies poo-pooed it and made his life hell and ruined his career on the back of it, saying, no, sugar is good for you. Particularly after the Second World War, when there wasn't a lot going. Everybody started filling up with the sugar. Everybody started, we can get sugar now. The sugar companies ruined the man's career completely. And there, 40 years later, they're realising that fat is good for you and sugar is bad for you.
And it's not really that complicated. If you think how Neanderthal man lived, they weren't morbidly obese, so I suppose it makes sense.
No, and that's it. And, even as when I was a kid, there was a lot of sugar about then, but we were running about, I'm 55 now, so you're talking about 45 years ago, having sugar, whatever it was we was having in the tea or fizzy drinks, we were running about. Kids today aren't running about. They're not. They're sitting there on iPads and iPhones and computers. It's only the ones that go out and play football, which is a very small percentage of kids now, have active lifestyles. I saw a picture online the other day, and it said it was a picture of a load of kids playing by a river with little fishing rods and fishing nets and a jar of tadpoles. And then there was another picture beside it which had a load of kids sitting on a park bench on iPhones. And somebody had said, I'm glad my childhood was this and not this. And I think that's very representative, unfortunately, of what's going on today.
Yeah, it's amazing. Then we look at you in the last 5 weeks, and there's no chance you're going to get fat. I mean, you did this panto at Dartford, which was a sellout success. I saw it last week. It was just tremendous. I mean, you must be absolutely knackered at the end of that. You're doing 2 shows a day and literally running around for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, the strange thing is, through the Sugar Free Farm now, I used to go, I still go to the gym, not when I'm working, obviously, but I go to the gym. After I've been for a session down the gym, which is a boxing gym, it's not weights and stuff like that, it's got cardio, go for a run, good 3 to 5 mile run, then I do some sparring, then I do a little bit of a lightweight work, just cardio stuff afterwards. And I'd go home and have a Lucasade and some sweets, a chocolate bar or something, and maybe a packet of crisps. And then an hour later I'd doze off because I'm so tired from being down the gym. After I stopped eating that stuff, I didn't have any luck because you'd have a sugar rush and then you'd have the drop once sugar had been burnt off. So I don't get tired anymore. I don't get those lulls in the day for not having those sugar drops now.
I mean, you've never been fat as far as I can remember. I've known you nearly 20 years. But I guess it's a case of health and fitness more than you trying to stop being a fatty, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. One of the things that they did on the Sugar Free Farm on a daily basis, they would do, for want of a better word, these science experiments. One day, Hannah was the name of the nutritionist, and she came in one day with a Bunsen burner and sugar puffs or Rice Krispies, some sort of sugary breakfast cereal, and there was 100 grams of it in a sieve, and we burnt it, and it went up like it was rocket fuel, under this naked flame of a Bunsen burner. And then about the same time, we got 100 grams of oats, just pure oats, no additives to it at all, from what porridge is made from, and we burnt that. It took like 25 minutes for that to burn, which just shows, and once again, it's just a basic experiment to say the energy released in these sugary breakfast cereals goes in 20 minutes, goes in 20 seconds.
Wow.
The energy released in oats burns up in, 100 times that amount of time. And it's the same process in your stomach. It's your stomach is an oven in there, and it's cooking the stuff, and it's taking the energy out, and it's going to use those sugary breakfast cereals in 20 seconds, which is why if you have something like that, an hour later you're starving hungry again. If you have porridge, 5-6 hours later you're going to get hungry because it's still taking so long to burn the energy of that cereal.
It sounds like it has literally changed your life. I mean, this is something you can live forever.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something I'm not going to go back to eating the sugar that was. I'm not saying I'm completely sugar-free now, because it's impossible to live that life when everything has sugar in it. But what you can do is limit it. There's a thing called the traffic lights on the bottom of most foods now, and it's got the amount of sugar in it, it's got the amount of carbs, the amount of fat, and anything that's in the green, I eat. If the sugar is in the green, I eat it. It's been there all the time, these things. I didn't even notice till I'd done the show. I look at what the amount of sugar is. If it's in the green, on the amber, if it's amber or red, I don't eat it. Simple as that.
And it's the secret sugars, isn't it? Like people wake up and have a glass of orange juice before they even start their day, not realising they've got to run 17.5 miles to burn that off.
That's exactly. Apparently there's more sugar in orange juice than there is in Coca-Cola.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is bewildering. And then we look at you, and your career is extraordinary because we get to see the real you in these shows, and obviously you're witty because you're a comedian, but I think people forget A, how smart you are, and B, what an incredible life you've got. I mean, aside from the boxing, which is surprising in itself, I mean, you love to fly planes, you've done degrees in this and that. I mean, this is a sort of a departure for you in a way, isn't it, from the stand-up, because people get to see the real you.
Yeah, that was a conscious decision to do this. I don't want to go and sit in the Big Brother house for 3 weeks. That would bore me senseless. I just don't think I've got the patience for that. I don't suffer idiocy very well either as I've got older. Right. That's why I word use. That sounds very insulting to people on the show. I don't mean that for any individuals at all. But looking at it, you have to put up with a lot of idiocy, and I don't think I could do that anymore. And I'd like to do. I quite, for a better word, these reality shows. They're total unreality because they don't represent reality at all. Reality in life isn't eating sugar-free. Reality in life isn't sitting in a jungle. Reality isn't dancing, on ice. They're called reality shows, but they're not really. They're unreality, and they don't represent the real world. Yep. What they are is little pockets of a television show where you actually see people not for what they're known for, really, which is. And I like to think you can learn something from these shows that I do, rather than just the ones where you sit on your backside, which sounds, once again, very demeaning. I don't mean it to sound demeaning. It's just the choice that I like to pick and choose what tellies I do if I'm going to do that type of show. Yeah. And I like to think I learned something from the sugar-free farm. I learned a lot from the jungle, from the back of the jungle. I learned to face a lot of fears, and on the back of that, I got my pilot's license. And I'd never skated before on ice. I danced on ice. Actually learned to ice skate, only to a certain degree. I'm never going to get a European champion at it, but I can put my own on the ice rink now. And the same as this, I learned so much about nutrition. And my daughter, one of the other reasons I've done this, my daughter is type 1 diabetic. So she injects insulin every day to stay alive. So, learning how the body works on that level was a huge thing for me as well.
And then we look at the motley crew they gave you within the house, and you'd got people like Anne Widdecombe, Stavros Flatley, Alison Hammond, Peter Davison, a great actor, and then Gemma Collins. Is that tough when you put everyone from a reality TV star, as she's described, to a former politician in the same room?
Yeah, I think it is. Once again, you have to play the game. You have to realise that they are making a television show, and the first series, this is the second series of this. The first series, it was a bit like Enid Blyton, the famous five. Everybody was very chummy on it. And it was on at 8 o'clock in the evening. So everybody was, let's go down to the pub and see what we can't have. We'd have to just have a glass of soda water and that's it. And we'll look at the crisps and the nuts, but we can't eat them to sugar. And everybody was very friendly. Yeah. And this year it was a bit more Lord of the Flies because they knew that they had to up the game. So they put it on at 9 o'clock after the watershed, and they've also given us slightly more antagonistic personalities as well, for want of a better word.
How did you cope with the likes of Gemma, who I understand from what the press office have said didn't take it as seriously as maybe you or Anne did.
Is that what the press officer said?
Well,
yeah.
she didn't seem to quite get it.
No, I don't think that she did at first. No, she did eventually. But yeah, there was threats of walkouts very early on from certain quarters of the show. It tested my patience, and I've spent 3 weeks in the jungle with Janet Street Porter, and that was like going to on holiday. That was compared to Sugar Free Farm.
Wow.
It really was, because not only my own patience was tested, you had to live and watch other people's patience being tested. And realise that it wasn't just me, and I've got the patients the same. But one of the things that wound me up about the show very early on was we had to do a food diary for a week before we went into the show. And then that was taken away and analysed, and then the nutritionist would multiply that by 52 weeks. And then we got to the first day, we was in a barn, and there were 7 pallets of food, ranging from a small pallet of food to a very large one. And when I say food, what it was the amount of fat that we would have eaten in a year, the amount of sugar we would have eaten in a year, the amount of carbohydrates represented by pasta, and the amount of red meat represented by bacon. And that was it, and also different carbs on rice as well. So there was pasta and rice represented all the carbs. And they asked us to stand beside each a pallet of food that we felt represented our intake. Now, bear in mind, when I went in, I was about 13 and a half stone, and there were people who were over twice my weight in that show, not mentioning any names, but there were.
Right.
So I thought, well, I'm going to go for the middle ones. That's what I went for. And the 2 heaviest people most of us went for the middle range. None of us really wanted to say who was in the heaviest department. None of us wanted to commit to being the lightest one. So most of us stood by the middle range ones. And it worked out that the people that were the heaviest, when I say heaviest, over twice my weight, had the smallest amount of food intake in the year. And me at 13 and a half stone and it must have been nearly 3 times the amount of food on the biggest pallet compared to the smallest pallet. And they put me down to the biggest pallet of food at 13 and a half stone. And it really made me laugh. It really, really made me laugh. And they interviewed and said, so how do you feel about being the biggest eater of the sugar and the carbs and everything? That your intake is grossly unfit for human consumption. I said, well, listen, if you take that as read, then that is very bad. But I would say some people probably lied about their intake of food on their food diary. Because, there's no way that I can, be 13 and a half stone and have that intake of food from somebody else.
But let's face it, I mean, I used to be 18 stone, and you do just lie when you're bigger. You pretend you eat salad all day and that it's some sort of mystic being that's making you fat. It's just that you're not admitting that you're shoving pork pies in your gob all day long.
Yeah, I suppose so. But, because I know that when I put it down, I didn't lie about anything. I wrote everything down from a Turkish delight to a ham roll. Didn't lie about any of it. So I was very surprised to see that I had the biggest intake of food.
That's curious. Did you ever lose your rag? Because I know they test you on these shows and sort of deliberately leave stuff out to tempt you. Did you ever get your own back?
Well, after about a week, 10 days in, they put a load of food. You had to put down what your favourite foods were as well. Yeah. So a week or 10 days in, Peter Davison was yoghurt and chocolate and God knows what else. And mine was wine gums and Turkish Delight, Lucozade. And about a week in one of the rooms, they said, go and have a look at what we've left for you. And they didn't say you couldn't have it. They said, it's there if you want it. And there was a whole table, a giant, it was sort of 7-8 foot square table full of luxury foods. When I say luxury, just sugar. Be it Dunkin' Donuts, chocolate, wine gums, fizzy drinks, cakes, the lot. Everything that you could ever think of was there. And they said, it's up to you if you want it. You don't have to have it. Don't want it. Nobody's going to know if you have it. But, we've all been around the block a few times. And I just knew they've put food there. They've got a camera in there somewhere. Yep. They've definitely got a camera. So I licked every single wine gum in the bowl. I can tell you now, without a word of lie, Alex, I didn't eat one. Not one, not past my lips. But not one of them did go into my belly. I just licked every single one of them, put them back meticulously in the bowl. And then the next day, Hannah came down, who was the nutritionist, and sat around and said, okay, did anybody want to confess anything about any of the food that was on the table? So, no, not me. I ain't done nothing. Of course, Gemma Collins went, I think I need to confess something. So we all went, what have you done? And she went, I had a load of wine gums yesterday. And I wet my knickers laughing. I went, oh no, I licked every single one of them. And she thought, no, you haven't. No, I really did, love. I really did. And Hannah went, yeah, because we filmed it. We got it on camera. I was like, oh, no. Oh, she ate all the wine gums I'd licked.
How many calories or tablespoons of sugar are in your saliva? Did they work that out?
No, I don't know. There must have been, I said there was a residue of sugar that actually went into my belly, but I don't think it was a lot.
Oh, fantastic. I hope we get to see all these moments, because you never really know with these shows what they're going to put out or what they're going to put in.
No, there was 150 hours of footage to make 3 hours of television, so who knows? Once again, it's one of those cases where you only see a snapshot of the actual, of what it was like. On a personal level, I loved it. I love being outside. We went fly fishing. What's great, we actually went fly fishing, salmon fishing, in the River Test, because that's Jody Scheckter, the racing driver, owns the farm. Oh, right. And the River Test runs through the farm, and it's just all these wild, rainbow trout, God knows what else going through it. And we had this professional fly fisherman there teaching us how to do it. No one caught a fish except for me, and it was just the best thing in the world. I'd only been, the fly was on the water for less than 2 minutes. Bang! It got a fish. It was fantastic. And it wasn't big enough, though, to take home and eat. We had to put it back. But I tickled it and kissed it before I put it back. So that's great. And it's the first time, what was great was, I was actually standing in the water knee deep, with my waders on. Yeah. Gemma Collins is one end of the river and I'm at the other. And I said, it's not the first time I've been in this water with a trout today. So that's great.
And talking of kissing and tickling, how was Anne Widdecombe? Because she can be irascible if she's not in a good mood.
I love the word irascible. You're so diplomatic using that word. But yes, I think I should follow suit and not say another word about, but yes, she is irascible. And in all honesty, though, what was great about this was there was no dieting involved at all. Everything we ate was from scratch. Bread, we actually ground the flour up, everything. There's no sugar in the bread, nothing at all. And we was eating 3 meals a day, 3 big meals a day as well. But we still lost weight. I lost just under a stone. I think Alison and Gemma both lost over a stone. Laggy, from the young lad, he lost about a stone. I think Stavros, Demi, only lost about half a stone. And 3 meals a day, we all lost a considerable amount of weight, except for Anne Widdecombe, who put on weight.
Oh, no.
So she poo-pooed the whole thing. She went, well, I'm sorry, this just proves that it doesn't work. She says, no, what it proves, once again, it is just basic science. Yeah. If you're eating more calories than you're burning off, you're going to put weight on. And that's it. She was eating more out there than she was at home, basically. If you burn more calories than you take in, you're going to lose weight. And vice versa. If you take in more calories than you burn, you're going to put weight on.
Congratulations on everything. Just a final word about Sir Ken Dodd. I know you were thrilled. What brilliant timing that 2-hour documentary was on Saturday night, and you didn't even know at that point. No one knew. And to be honest, I think it's been a long time coming with Ken as well. He deserved it 20 years ago. And what I hear, I mean, nobody's done more hours on stage than him anywhere in the world, have they?
No one's done more hours on stage this year compared to what I've done. It's like he's still doing 5 hours a night.
Incredible. Joe Pasquale back on tour this summer. You'll be doing the summer season again. People can find out details www.joepasquale.com. And on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock, I guess it's going to be a bit more adult than last time, because it was very nice and it was all very cutesy, wasn't it, on at 8 o'clock. This year, I guess it's going to be a little bit more hard-nosed.
I think it is. I think that was why they put some more conflicting personalities in there as well. It was a real good mix of people, there was a lot of eclectic ideas floating around as well, because of the nature of the show and the nature of the background of the people that were on it.
And I suppose in a first date styling, I should ask you, will you be in contact with any of these people again? Did you make friends?
In actual fact, I speak to all of them. except for Anne and Gemma, really.
Right.
Not that I'm avoiding them, but, it's got numbers with Anne and Gemma.
I love the fact she went on a diet show and ended up putting on weight. That's beautiful. You couldn't write that.
No.
www.joepasquale.com to find out tour dates for the summer. The Sugar Free Farm starts on ITV 9 o'clock on Tuesday. And congratulations again on Panto this year. It was utterly tremendous. You were magnificent. And next year, do we know where you're going to be yet?
No, not yet at all. I'll let you. You'll be the first to know, Alex, as soon as I find out.
Can't wait. All right, congratulations on everything. Tune in Tuesday night, 9 o'clock on ITV for Sugar Free Farm. Joe Pasquale, great to talk to you again.
Thanks, mate.